Hello everyone, this is Andrew from BF Media and welcome to another Lightroom for Beginners tutorial. Today we are going to look at the basic tab in Lightroom. We're gonna see what each and every one of those sliders does. We're gonna see how you can edit these photos in the basic panel, in the basic tab. First thing we have here is the treatment, color and black and white. If you wanna go color, leave it color. If you want to go black and white, click black and white. That's pretty intuitive, okay? We're gonna stay in color for the moment. Then you have white balance presets. If you shoot raw, and you can see here that I shot raw, you have all these kinds of presets. You have as shot, you have auto white balance, daylight white balance, cloudy, shade white balance, tungsten, fluorescent, flash, and custom. Okay, then you have the white balance sliders. You have the temperature slider, which is from blue to yellow, and then you have the tint sliders, which is from green to magenta. Okay, let's see what do we want to do with this. Right now we are not touching those sliders. I will explain you how I work, my workflow after I'm done explaining what each slider does. Then we have tone. You can set it to auto, but I'm not recommending it. The first thing is exposure. It's pretty intuitive yet again. If you up the slider, it brings exposure. It makes your photo brighter. And if you lower the exposure, it makes your photo darker. It's pretty straightforward that. Then you have the contrast. If you move it to the left, you have less contrast in your photo. If you move it to the right, you have way more contrast. Then we have the highlights bar. What the highlights bar does, it enhances the highlights, basically in your picture, in your frame, in your photo. Okay, what it does, it affects this part of the histogram here. Okay, if you can see, when I put my cursor over the highlights, it highlights this part, and if I move up, you can see the histogram changing. If I move it down, you can also see the histogram changing. Then you have the shadows, which affects this part over here. You can see exactly the same thing. What it does, it changes the histogram and is making all of the color information, all of the information here, either going brighter or going darker. We're gonna leave it at 0. Then the whites, this affects the brightest extreme of your photograph. That would be here. You can even see, if you hover the white slider, you will have this part of the histogram highlighted. This one, the next one, it's the blacks. It does exactly the same thing as the whites, but the opposite. You change this thing here. Those are changing. Basically, those two are the whitest points of the photo, or the blackest points of the photo. Then we have the clarity. What the clarity does is adding some saturation and some contrast in the midtones. That would be here in the what's called exposure on the histogram. If you bring the clarity up to 100, you're gonna have a strange HDR-ish look. If you lower the clarity, you're gonna have some. Anyway, I don't like it. I almost never bring down the clarity. Okay, then we have the vibrance. Vibrance affects the vibrance of our photographs. If we take it to -100 to the left, if you take it to the far left, you're gonna get this thing. Okay, a very not vibrant photo. If you take it to the far right, your color is gonna explode. Okay, but no, it won't explode as much as if you would bring the saturation to the far right. Okay, this adds saturation. The saturation slider adds saturation to your colors, to your photograph. So if you bring it up, you got your colors will be more saturated. If you bring it down, you're gonna take out the color information from the photograph. And if you bring it down to -100, you are going to have a black and white image. Okay, but a quick disclaimer for the saturation button. If you want to go black and white, never go -100 saturation, because you will leave out all the color information and you will have a boring photo, a flat black and white, a flat grayscale colorless image. If you want to go black and white, in the treatment menu, click the black and white, or you can click the black and white in this tab. But right now we're not going to look at black and white. So my workflow, how I like to do things. First, I will change the highlights. For this one, when I first edited it, I brought the highlights down and brought the shadows up a little bit. Then bring the white points, the white and black points. You bring the white points up, but I will show you a trick. If you press the Alt key while moving the slider, you're gonna get a black screen, and when you see dots on your screen, that's where the white points are clipping. See, the points mean that there is pure white. So I like to bring it until it's clipping and then move it back a little bit until it's no longer clipping. Basically, you bring the white slider right before it's clipping. Then the black slider, you don't have to worry so much about the black clipping. You don't have to worry so much. That doesn't mean that you don't have to worry at all, okay? If you bring them back down to -100, you see it's ugly, okay? We will bring it down a little bit, just a little bit, to make some more contrast. Okay, now, after we adjusted the contrast and the exposure, we do not need to change the exposure, it's fine. We do not need to change the contrast here. Maybe, no, not really. I rarely use the contrast slider. I use contrast with highlights and shadows, whites and black, and the tone curve, but not so much the contrast slider. Okay, so after I made my contrast, I can change the color temperature. For this one, I think it's okay as it's shot, but sometimes you want to make it a little bit colder. And if you want to make it colder, bring it to the green, not to the green, to the blue. Okay, this one it's fine just as it's shot. Maybe I want to make it warmer. And of course, if you want to make it warmer, bring it to the right, to the yellow. Okay, it's always important to see how to notice how it changes the histogram. It changes the color information you have in this raw file. Okay. The white balance is okay on this one. The tint, well, the tint is okay. Maybe I'm letting it on 0, but it's okay. Then after I adjusted the white balance, I am going to the presence tab. Sometimes I'll add a little bit of clarity, not too much, but in this photo it's not the case to add clarity. Then what I like to do when choosing vibrance and saturation is first thing, I'm looking at the photo, not at the slider. I will bring the slider to the extreme and then move it down, slowly move it down until I no longer see the difference in my eyes, and then I leave it alone. And now I'm looking at the slider and I notice that I stopped at +32. And this way, what are you doing this way? It's boosting the vibrance, but not over boosting it, not overdoing it. You can do the same thing for saturation. Okay, I'm looking at the photo right now. I'm not looking at the slider. I'm boosting the saturation way up, and then I'm moving it down slowly until, for my eyes, it seems like it's just like before. Okay, I boosted the saturation +6. Okay, everyone, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I hope you found it useful, and if you want to see more of these tutorials, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Okay, it helps a lot. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a nice day.